So today we're just going to make a simple coin. Basically we're going to make it in Maya, quickly UV it, excuse me, and then send it over to Mudbox and make a normal map and bring it back in. So first thing we're going to do, go to our polygons shelf, hit the cylinder, and we're going to make it here. I've got my grid set up to centimeters so that I can basically make this in real world size. So this coin is about 2 centimeters at the moment. That's pretty cool. I'm going to change the subdivisions down on our cylinder here to 8 and the caps to, well, 2. And what we're going to do is go to edges and select these middle edges and delete them. And we're going to be on our polygons menu here, and we're going to go edit mesh. What are we doing? Interactive split tool. And basically, what we're doing here is we're making it so we can hit G to repeat that. Click on the things. We're making it so we don't have that 5-star pinch in the middle for when we smooth it, because if we have that and we go to Mudbox, we're going to end up getting some kind of weird artifacts and geometry when the thing's smooth. So hit G again and enter, G again, enter. So now if we hit 3 and smooth it, we can see the middle here is a bit cleaner than usually we'd have like this 5 or 8-star pole, which is a bit crappy. So another thing, so let's go to edge mode and select. You can double click on here and hold down shift and double click again. I'm going to go to mesh, edit mesh and bevel. This is just so we can get a bit of a nicer edge shape on our coin. I'm going to turn that offset down pretty low. If we go back to here, we can kind of see it, just to give us a bit of extra geometry here to hold our shape when we smooth it in Mudbox. So this is like super low polygon, so we want to we're going to smooth this before we UV it, so we can hit smooth, or which is this button here, or we can go mesh smooth, and that gives us a pretty good base shape for our coin. It's pretty cool. Now what we're going to do, we're going to quickly UV this. So I mean, this is super basic stuff, but all this can be scaled up to make more complex things, which we'll be going through later in some later tutorials, which will be a bit longer. We're going to go to our edit UVs, UV texture editor. So all of this is, we're pretty much in the polygons menu for most of this tutorial. See that they're a bit mashed up here. So we're going to go to our top view, select our coin, and we're going to do create UVs planar mapping, and we're going to have it on bounding box and camera, and we're going to hit apply. So you can see now that our UVs are a nice round thing. And then we're going to hit edge again and double click on here, and that's going to select the edge here, and we're going to go select convert to selection to faces, and you can see that that's selected the outside. We want to go one more up, so what we can do is hit shift and the kind of bracket arrows, not the arrows themselves, but the bracket arrows, like next to M and the question mark on my keyboard anyway, can shrink and grow your selection. So we're going to grow it up so it has the whole side of the coin. Close this planar mapping one, and we'll do create cylindrical mapping, and then that's gone ahead and kind of projected a cylinder around the edge of our, you can kind of see it here, around the edge of our coin. So what we're going to do, go back to object mode. Our UVs are still a bit messy, which we'll fix up in a sec, but to kind of see it better, we're going to make a new Lambert, have that selected, assign material to selection by right clicking, and then we'll go to this Lambert and put a checker on it. So you just hit this checker box here, and we're going to select checker. So now if we hit 6, we have this checker texture in our viewport. Might make it a bit more detailed so we can kind of see what we're doing. So in our Hypershade here, if we select the texture 2D placement node and up this, let's just do 20 and 20. You can kind of see here we'll get like a lot more squares, and if we want to see it better we can go to high quality rendering just for the moment so we can see what's happening. So let's select that again. Now what we want to do is kind of have all our stuff on top of each other and the scale is a bit off. So we're going to select, first off, we'll right click and go to UV, and we'll select one of these from the side ones, which are all here. We could select it here as well. We're going to do select shell, and what that's going to do is kind of grab that UV island or shell. I'm going to scale it down a bit so that it's a bit more square. I might have to change this a bit in a sec. So basically we want to have these looking as square as possible, which isn't too bad. And now we've got, so that looks pretty good. It's a bit, we'll probably make it a bit wider, make them square. And now we want to change these. These are on top of each other, so we'll go UV, just select one, don't drag select, and we're going to go select shell, and we're going to move that to the side. Like this. Actually, we might do it diagonally next to it, because we're going to grab all of these and basically put them into this square down here where that texture is. So now these on the side are a bit smaller than here, so let's select all those UVs, which is going to grab the side and scale them down a bit so they're a bit more, the square shape is a bit more like the rest of the coin. Make it a bit bigger, smaller, sorry. So we just kind of want to get it, the squares as even as we can. Now we want to fit all of this into this one square here, but it's a little bit big, this one. So what we can do is like go to edge, actually first let's move this to kind of be sitting on top so we can see what's happening. And let's grab, like go to edge mode, so right click edge, and let's select perhaps about in the middle, which is where I've got selected anyway. So we're going to shift select these edges, and we're going to go polygons, cut UV edges, and basically what that's going to do is if we go back to UVs now and we select the shell, we kind of have two pieces now. So we'll grab this one and move that over. And the idea here is we want to grab these and scale them to be in, well, we want to kind of put them here. I can never grab this scale thing with this mouse anymore properly. I'm going to have to grab in the middle. There we go. We want to kind of use up as much as this space as we can in this. So that's kind of cool. For very, very quick rough UVing, it's probably going to get the job done. If we hit smooth, you can see all the squares look pretty good. They all look square. So that's pretty much ready to go to Mudbox. We'll put our default shader back on for now. We can delete these if we want. We don't really need them. Close this window. And we're going to go on here, edit, delete by type history. And if we go into, and then that's going to get rid of all our crap that we just did, all the history. You can see that this is not sitting at 0, so we can let's just tiny bit move it. If I went to undo that, I could also go into move, which is W, hold down X, and kind of just snap it. You can snap to the grid wherever you want. So we'll snap it to there. So that's cool. That's ready to go to Mudbox. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure in our settings and preferences in our plugin manager that if we go down to OBJ export, make sure that these are ticked on loaded and auto load. And then that means that when we select this and we go down export selection, we can choose OBJ. If we hit that square like I did, we don't need to do that. It gives us the option to export OBJ. So I'm going to go, I've got a folder on my desktop called CoinTute, and I'm going to call this coin for Mudbox, and export that. And you can save your scene if you want as a thing, but I don't really need to because I've done this like a lot of times, and I'm going to be re-importing this back in from Mudbox anyway, so we don't really need to. So if we go to Mudbox, and if I went to File, New Scene, we get this dialog. If we hit Open, and we click Find where we exported that coin for Mudbox, and we're just going to hit Open on that, and then we have our coin. So if we hit Shift D, or you can go up here and add new subdivision level. We're going to divide this, and you can see it's making it much smoother. I'm going to do it 7 times, which is going to give me like 3 million polygons, which is pretty good for, you know, like a coin. You probably don't really need more than that. We're going to make sure we're on our Sculpt tool here. I'm going to have no stamp, but we're going to go to stencil, and I've gone to like the internet and found some coin images. I found this one, and we're going to use that as a stencil to kind of give us a bit of a relief to sculpt over, and that should be really easy to. I just had a look at some different ones. Some of them are really cool and old. This one looked cool. It's kind of like an Aztec coin, so kind of got that. What we're going to do, actually first I've also, we're going to click down here. So I've loaded some of these. I've also got like a coin edge one. So we're going to do that one first actually. Whoa. I'm going to go back to my stamp, and I'm going to change the size a bit to be a bit smaller. Oops, 0.5. Basically what I can do is, I just want to, kind of went to the edge there and it got a bit funky. I just want to add a bit of detail to the edge of the coin here. I'm going to go around. I mean, you could do this with symmetry or whatever. I don't really care what it looks like. It's just to add a bit of cool detail around the edge. So these are just like images. I put them into Photoshop and blurred them a little bit. But they're just like JPEGs, black and white, just to get me a bit of detail in here. I mean, the more detail you have, the better something's going to look. So I'm going to go around here, take a bit of time. I'll have a look at what it looks like in a second. So keep sculpting this, and we're almost there. Oops, a bit low. There we go. So now you can hit Q to hide that. Kind of get a bit of an edge around our coin. It's just something interesting. I mean, you could have left it. Not all coins have that kind of perforated edge. So now I'm going to go back to my stencil, and I'm going to click on this cool Aztec one that I found. I'm going to go up to my top view here. I'm going to match this up as best as I can, like so. And I'll go back to my stamp. I'm going to make this a bit bigger, so that, let's make that 0.2. It's a bit small because like the coin is really small, so these values are like quite small. And I might take the strength down by half as well. And we're going to just basically use this to get our shape of our coin using that stencil. It's like really simple. You could add a lot more detail or little scratches or whatever if you had time. But just for something simple, this looks pretty cool straight up. There we go. And we'll go to the other side and click on the bottom. If I hide this, you can kind of see that this has gone over to the other side, I can hit shift and smooth it. In this case, it doesn't really matter because kind of a little bit more extra detail I don't really care about. If it looks a little bit funky in this case, it's just adding another layer to the detail. So I mean, we can just go along here. I mean, you could mask it off and make sure everything's perfect, but just for a quick example, I think this is going to be good. Let's do that. So that looks pretty cool. So that looks cool. We'll hide that stencil. So that's basically what our coin's going to look like. Looks pretty cool at the moment. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the grab tool. And I'll change the size of this to maybe like 0.5. I'm just going to kind of mess up the shape a little bit. Just in CG stuff, like kind of something that always makes it look crap or not very good is just having everything like perfect shapes. So I mean, the more little things like this you do, or little scratches, or so sometimes I just like move something and then move it back, and then it's not like perfectly moved, and that gives it a little bit more detail. I mean, you can see now we don't have like a perfect circle shape. I mean, you don't want to go crazy like that. Kind of move stuff around a little bit, so we just get a little bit of it, like it looks like it's old and it's pressed and stuff like that. It's not quite flat anymore, which is good. It's a little bit bent, like it's used an old coin press. So what we're going to do is use page down button to go back down to our base level, and we're going to go to UV and maps. I'm going to go extract texture maps and new operation. And let's first off just do a normal map. So we're going to select our lowest division is 0, which is where we're on at the moment, and our highest is going to be 7, so you can just click there. We're going to change that to our method to subdivision. Anti-aliasing we'll put on ×2. We're going to Maya, we're going to have it on tangent space normals. It's going to be a texture type, not ptext this time, and we're going to change this to 16-bit. So if we click here, and I've got a folder here for texture maps, change this to 16-bit TIFF, and we're going to call this coin normal map. Hit enter there, and then we can go down to the bottom and hit extract. That's going to take a couple of seconds. I've only done a 1K map because it's just a coin, so 1K is 1028. What is that? 1024. You can go down here and check. 1024 by 1024. So that's the size of our texture map. So if I go, I've got my texture map folder here. We've got our normal map. And we can see we've got a lot of detail in there. It's pretty good. So one other thing we're going to do is make sure we're on our lowest division. We're going to select this one here in the side. That's our lowest division. This is kind of put the normal map on it. So that's kind of what it will look like. We're going to make it a bit more rounder and stuff in Maya. We're going to export this coin from Mudbox, I'm going to call it. And the reason I do this is like during the sculpting we've kind of changed the shape a tiny bit, and we kind of want to keep that those changes that we've made. So now if I go back to Maya, I'm going to go File, New Scene, and I'm going to import that coin from Mudbox. Hit 5, and we can kind of see. And you can kind of see it's not like perfect like shape anymore, which is kind of good. It's kind of what we want. Oh, I've exported a higher subdivision, which is not good. Go down to the bottom one there. I'm going to re-export that quickly. Export selection, coin from Mudbox, and we'll select the one above it. Let's do this again. New scene, don't save, file, import. Make sure we're on OBJ, coin from Mudbox. And there we go, that's our lowest subdivision. So that's kind of cool. And it looks good, smooth, but you'll notice that the normals here, we've got like some kind of faceting. You can see the square shapes. I don't know if you can see it very well. You can definitely see it here. So we're going to go select our coin and go normals, soften edge, and that's just going to smooth up these edges and stuff. If we were using displacement and all that, it's going to become more important, but for this it's pretty simple, so it's not that bad. We're going to go to our Hypershade. We're going to go to the mental ray section. Make sure you've got in your window setting and preferences plugin manager, make sure you've got your Maya to mental ray, MyTorMra, loaded, so that we can use our mental ray materials and rendering. So we're going to create a material X, and we're going to select our object and assign that material to our selectant. And these are pretty cool. They've got some good presets. So I'm going to, what are we going to do? We're going to use Chrome, and we're going to change the reflection color to a kind of a goldy color. And you can see that that's made that a little image kind of gold. Select it, and go down to the bottom of our material, and we're going to find our bump map, and on overall bump we're going to click on File, change this bump that comes up straight away to tangent space normal. We'll go to File, and then with the file we're going to find from our texture maps that we made before, this one that we exported from Mudbox. So if I put this on, that will show me what we're going to render. You can also, this is our render view, so if we click this little camera, it'll do a snapshot and we can kind of see what it's going to look like. So if I hit render, we can kind of see quickly, hopefully, what our coin looks like. And that looks pretty cool. It's a bit yellow. There's not really any reflection environment or whatever in this scene to really pick up on much at the moment. So let's just quickly, well, that's basically your coin done. So you could use that and put it in your scene. Let's just quickly throw some lighting in there. So I'm going to click on here, make sure I'm on mental ray, go to indirect lighting, create a physical sun sky, which gives us this light. We can rotate it around a bit. What we're going to do, we'll go into our Hypershade, we'll go to Utilities. We're going to set this up better in a different project, but if we render this at the moment, it's going to be blown out. So, and we're not really using any textures or anything, so we can just change on this MIA exposure. We'll just change this to 1 for the moment, otherwise everything's going to be like super blown out. It's not really the proper way to do it, and in a different tutorial when we do all this together in a proper scene with proper lighting, we're not going to do it this way, but just for something quick, this will do. And then that will have turned on final gathering, which means our light's going to bounce around and reflect off some stuff a bit better. We might make a plane down here just to have a look so we can see our coin a bit better. Give it a bit of a rotation. Hit F to focus on that. Might make our plane a bit better. And one last thing we're going to do, you'll notice if we look at our render, we've still got these kind of like jagged edges. One thing we could do is just hit 3 and render, but 3 will smooth it, and that will come through in our render. But with Mental Ray, you can go to Window, Rendering Editors, Mental Ray Approximation Editor, and we're going to, with our object selected, we're going to go to Subdivision and hit Create. And basically what that's going to do, if I do a snapshot, you can see here, this is what the geometry is like in our viewport, but if I render that corner, you can see it's kind of become smooth when we render it, so that's kind of cool. One more thing I'm going to do, reflective materials work best with like a kind of environment reflected on it. So there's a lot of different ways to set it up, but an easy way is just to make a big sphere. We'll move that up a bit. I'll turn this gate off for a second. And we'll make if we go up to here into Maya, and we can make a surface shader, and we'll just apply that to the sphere. Close all these windows I've got open. We'll go to the sphere shape for a second, and on the render stats we're going to turn off cast shadows and receive shadows because we just really want it to be reflecting. Mental ray ones as well, and we want it to trace and reflect to give us a bit of an interesting look on our coin. So I'm going to go to that surface shader and we'll click on out color and go to file, and I'm just going to pick some random image if I can find one. Something like that. I mean, just to give us a bit of an interesting thing to reflect from. Make sure that's assigned to that. And then that's just going to reflect on our coin. So now, if I make this bigger, this ground a bit bigger, something like this. Now if we render this, should get something a bit more interesting, get that color reflecting off the side. It's pretty subtle, but it kind of looks cool. You can change, I mean, this yellow color is a bit full on. We might change that. I'll just escape out of this for a second. We might go back to our material X. We might change this reflection color to white and then change the actual color of the object to a yellowy color, kind of like a goldy color, and change this a little bit to a gold but keep it kind of white. I mean, you can have a play around with these. There's also a chrome setting here, which is sorry, not a chrome, a copper, which is a nice one. You can probably make a bit more of a gold color by tweaking some of these colors. Let's give that a go and have a look at, see what it looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. If we wanted to make it shinier, we could turn up this glossiness value. I don't want it too shiny. I can render a small region. That looks pretty cool. So now if we just Control D to duplicate, we'll make a couple of these. Just to have a quick look at what they look like from different angles and stuff. Oops, what am I doing? Something like that, just to see what they look like. One thing with duplicating them, they're not going to get that smooth node, the subdivision node that we put on, without doing like a special duplication. So we're going to go back to our approximation editor with them all selected, go down here on the subdivision, select that node that we made before and do assign. You'll get an error because, well, not an error, a warning, because the original one still had it, but now we've assigned that back to all of them, so that's kind of cool. So now if we give that a render, have a look at, see what happens. Yeah, that looks really cool. So now we have our coins. Just doing the final gather render first. Kind of looks good. The coins are a bit thin. Maybe want to make them a bit thicker. but that looks really nice. So yeah, that's a simple tutorial on how to use Maya and Mudbox to make some kind of cool Aztec Aztec looking coins. So we're gonna, in the next couple of tutorials, we're gonna make some other things to go with these, and then bring them all together in a scene. So we might make some like a gold chalice or a sword or something like that, and then we might, as a final thing, a bit more advanced, make a cool looking treasure box with some wood and some iron around it. And yeah, and then we'll put it together and make a nice lit scene and make it look really good. So cool. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Just let it finish rendering and see what it looks like.